Hi, and welcome to a 4 News Now special, looking back on the heartwarming stories in our community over the last year. I'm 4 News Now anchor Nia Wong.
And I'm Aaron Luna. 2019 ends a decade, and 4 News Now marked the beginning of a new era.
In July, we said goodbye to our old set of 20 years and unveiled a new state-of-the-art set, look, and brand. A major change for us with a workspace that not only looks cool, it lets us better use video to tell you the stories and information that matter most to your life.
And this summer, we also welcome Nia to our 4 News Now family, a welcome addition as we move into the new era of news in Spokane.
And it has been so much fun getting to know Spokane and seeing the stories that matter the most to our community.
It has been a year of dynamic change in the inland Northwest. Much of that change happened right in the heart of our city, Riverfront Park, transforming before our eyes, all because voters saw the city's vision 5 years ago. This year, crews finished work on the pavilion, which opened for Expo 74 and now has new life as a community gathering space, complete with a nightly light show you can see from all over downtown.
And voters in Spokane also chose a new leader. Just months after retiring for 4 News Now, Nadine Woodward was elected as the city's mayor. She promises big solutions for the Lilac City and takes over from David Condon, Spokane's mayor of the last 8 years. Tonight, we're looking back at 2019, not at politics and policy, but at the stories that warmed our hearts.
We begin with the story that exemplifies that word, community. Taylor Graham takes us down the road to Ritzville.
Larry's entire town cranked out 3 weeks worth of work in 6 hours today to make sure the cancer that's already claimed his body doesn't claim the land that he's worked so hard on for the last 50 years.
It's just awe-inspiring to see how fast these fields are evaporating now.
It's one thing to know in the back of your mind that your family, your friends, and your neighbors have your back.
You know, a matter of a few phone calls, I mean, and things start to happen in a hurry.
It's another, though, to see it. Sprawled out right in front of you on the 1,200-acre lot you've spent your life on.
I was 13 years old when I started here, and I'm 63 now, so it's been a few years ago. I've been out here my whole life.
Today marked the first day in 50 years. Fourth-generation farmer Larry Yockey wasn't out there, harvesting his family's wheat field.
I was hoping, of all hopes, that I could do this, but...
What started as a spot on his back in February has spread to his bones. Cancer has cracked his ribs and hip, making all the hard labor that comes with harvest nearly impossible.
All the farmers are like family to me.
So that didn't sit well with Larry's longtime friend Brian, who called in 18 semis, 17 combines, and 11 bankouts to harvest Larry's land.
I mean, so tell him to trip 1 into 3. The way all of us look at it, it's a way to pay him back. I mean, he didn't want this at all. I mean, you know, he wanted to do it and things, but, you know, we just feel it's a way to pay him back.
But for Larry, it's more than the harvest. Seeing his town come together on this lot for him.
Just gratitude, it's not describable, the gratitude I have for what's going on today.
In Ritzville, Taylor Graham, 4 News Now.
Community begins with our children, and the Inland Northwest has a big heart for kids looking for their forever families.
For many families, the adoption journey culminates in late November on National Adoption Day. 4 News Now's Eleni Dow takes us to the Spokane County Courthouse for this life-changing day.
Normally, courtrooms are quiet as people wait to hear from the judge, but today was a little different.
Oh, I love this thing.
In Judge Belkengren's courtroom today, it was rowdier than normal because these 3 boys were finally getting adopted.
All the time they were asking, why aren't we adopted yet? Is adoption day tomorrow?
Well, adoption day is today.
Today is a special day for 3 of these young men.
The beginning of their story is a little different because the oldest, Aries, was Amber's student the first year she started teaching.
He is really who just kind of inspired my husband and I to start fostering.
That was 2 years ago. They then took Luke in as well. They all didn't get along so easily in the beginning.
Have always kind of had a guard up and a shield up, and that's just kind of peeled away over the years, and it's just really been incredible to see.
Then in November 2018, Amber received another call asking if there was room for Chase.
Chase, one time, we were just walking into the doctor and he said, Amber, did you know that it took me 2 years to find you, but now I have my forever family and I am not going anywhere.
Now they're definitely not going anywhere.
So congratulations, I now present to you Aries, Lucas, and Chase Swain.
For Amber, Well, she has a lot on her hands now, with 3 boys running around her home.
That's been an adjustment because I grew up with sisters, and so there's so many things where I'm like, what are you doing? Is that, we don't pee outside. We don't, we don't put tacks in Nerf bullets. That's not a good thing.
She'd take that rambunctiousness any day and still let the boys know they're not going anywhere.
It's been a long road here, and we're just so grateful to finally be here.
Finally able to make it official and riding off in a limo to celebrate the big day. In Spokane, I'm Eleni Dow, 4 News Now.
We love those stories of families brought together.
For years, we've helped to bring families together with our weekly Wednesdays Child series, showing you kids that are looking for that forever home. And sometimes those kids come back. Robin Nance has one of those special stories.
Cakes are better when they're cold.
It was 12 years ago when Jared walked in front of the camera, a shy 13-year-old boy who took himself out of his comfort zone to go on KXLY4 as a Wednesdays Child.
It was just like, oh my God, are people going to see me? What's going to happen? Like, and I just thought it would have been this huge flop. Like, nobody would have responded or done anything.
He just wanted to find an adoptive family.
They have to be nice, of course.
After the story aired, a couple from Texas saw it online. They flew up to meet Jared. He flew down to visit them. After a number of visits, they all agreed it was a good fit.
It just felt right. And you know, the transition was really smooth. I made friends very easily. I lost a lot of weight, thank goodness.
Jared moved to Austin, Texas to start his new life, one with lots of opportunities.
The city was gigantic in comparison to Spokane, so it was like experiencing all these new things. And eventually, as I settled down at the house, we ended up traveling around the United States and doing all kinds of crazy stuff.
Jared's parents later adopted 2 other boys, so Jared went from being the only child to being a middle child, which is actually what he told me he wanted in 2007. Jared went on to get his bachelor's degree from Texas State University and is hopeful that he's selected for a job in a private research facility in either Portland or Boston, which will also help pay for graduate school.
I have no idea where it's going to take me.
Taking a look back at his time in foster care, Jared doesn't do so grudgingly.
It can either be a transformative thing for people, like it can make the kids stronger, or it can just beat them down and turn them into what society just automatically perceives about foster care. And it wasn't the case for me at all. And I know
maybe it's because of his personality, or maybe it's because he had an amazing outcome.
So, I mean, life's crazy. Luckily, I have 2 very caring and supportive parents who, you know, despite some of my hiccups, have just been there the whole entire time.
Jared was close with his biological grandmother and some family members in Spokane, and his parents made sure to foster that relationship, encouraging phone calls and even visits every year. It was on his last visit that we got reacquainted. I sure hope he'll stop by again on his next visit. With Wednesday's Child, I'm Robin Nance, KXLY4 News.
We're just getting started. We have so much to share about the stories that touched our hearts in 2019. Up next, one that's sure to make you smile about a special Halloween celebration that crossed generations.
And a story that's bigger than football of a young man's journey from refugee camp to WSU football player. His inspiring story next on this 4 News Now special, Stories from the Heart. What a way to kick off the holiday season, one of our favorite holiday traditions here at 4 News Now. In early December, Mark Peterson and the 4 News Now Extreme team once again lit up the trees in Kxly Park right below Sacred Heart Children's Hospital.
We started this tradition years ago to bring the holidays to the kids, families, and staff who have to spend their Christmas getting and giving treatment. It's one of a half-dozen Extreme Team projects every year that we do to give back to the community we love so much. Welcome back. You can find community anywhere you feel safe and supported and loved.
And sometimes it's a world away from where you started. Alyssa Charleston has this story of a WSU football player's unlikely journey to the Palouse.
If I just look back like 4 or 5 years ago, just like how I was going to school, living life just to live another day, just thinking about that and how I got here. It's like, yeah.
Pretty crazy.
Pretty crazy.
What's even crazier is the world Cosmas Coete was living in 15 years ago. Born in the Democratic Republic of the Congo while it was serving as the battlefield of the deadliest human conflict since World War II.
War broke loose, and my dad and my mom, like, they saw that the best opportunity for us to like live another day is to like leave and go live in a refugee camp.
Leaving behind the threat of armed fighters or thieves breaking into their home late at night. The family of 9 busts south to Zimbabwe, trading their life of danger for one of the unknown.
The electricity, you get a schedule, there's the electricity schedule, it comes this time, it goes this time. Clean water, there's specific places you can get clean water. And if you want just like regular bath water or anything, you go somewhere else. School is not the best schooling. It's not in the best conditions, but if you want to go to school, you gotta use what you have.
What he also had was rugby and 2 brothers that all fell in love with it. The sport took them away from their rough and often dangerous world.
But like me, I was having the chance of like escaping that to live in a refugee camp, even though that wasn't the best of life, but I still thank God for that opportunity.
Imagine feeling grateful after spending your entire childhood in a refugee camp. But after 13 years in Zimbabwe, their most life-changing opportunity came knocking.
My dad told us that we'll get a chance to relocate, to resettle in America. There'll be a really good chance for us to start over. And then from that, like when I heard that news, I almost broke down. Like I was so happy, like what I watch on TV, like how the American life is, you know, it's something you want to be part of.
He would become part of something very American right away when a coach at his new high school first caught sight of Cosmas and his brothers.
He saw us and then he was like, boys, what do you guys want to do here? And then we're like, well, it's to play soccer and rugby. And that's like, you play rugby? He said, oh, you won't like football.
With his size, speed, and rugby mentality, Cosmas was a natural on defense. Football scholarship offers from all over the country started rolling in, but he wasn't making a decision on his new home without his family.
I love my mom. I'm really close with my mom. I'm not a mama's boy, but I love my mom. And when I came up for my visit, my mom loved the school. She loved the coaches, the environment. She thought it was the best situation for me.
Just a few years removed from their old situation, where safety was never promised. This quaint college town tucked away in the hills of the Palouse seemed like the perfect opposite.
Like coming in Pullman, you know, Pullman is one of the world's secure places. It's like, you can walk in Pullman any time of the day you want, any time of the night you want. It's most likely nothing will happen to you.
First time you're away from your brothers and your family.
Yeah.
Has it been hard?
It's been hard, but sometimes we talk and it's like, and he tells me like, we'll meet again someday, but you gotta make sure you take care of business first.
Business means getting a degree in civil engineering, determined to bring hope to a place that had none for the Coete family.
One of my goals is to go back in Africa, going back to like our Congo, you know, just, you know, how the infrastructure is really poor and everything. So just kind of like starting your own like foundation and like building stuff up for that and like take off my people, if I could say that. Yeah.
Alyssa Charleston, 4 News Now.
For many of us in the Inland Northwest, nature sparks creativity.
This year, we saw that firsthand from a man who grew up here and found a way to combine 2 loves, art and fly fishing. Ariana Lake shows us his unique approach to the canvas.
At 8 years old, my grandpa got me my first fly rod. Pretty amazing childhood as far as loving fly fishing and being outdoors.
A love like that never leaves a man. The river forever beckons to Ben Miller.
Well, it's like the idea of just loving a river and then being out there in the moment.
His hands have always been busy. In them, instruments of an artist, with a touch that will paint the water.
And I'm sitting here wrapping Mom's sewing thread on there and trying to find some materials like pocket lint. I'd present them to my grandpa, and he would take them, and he would say it's the most perfect fly. And
from there, his passion for fly fishing grew, as vast and mighty as the Spokane River.
It's quite the adventure, actually.
Once Miller graduated Wazoo, he took a job teaching art in his home state of Washington. But it just wasn't right. So he returned to the river. From the waters flowed his art.
This is scary as heck to one day wake up and say, oh, I'm going to start making these paintings, and then go out into the world and see what the world holds for you.
Scary, because in his hand isn't a brush.
It's a style and a way of painting that a lot of folks could understand when they see it. With the movement, with the action, with the colors, everything.
Bits of yarn.
And then these are kind of the workhorse.
Replace the hook. With each cast, paint-soaked yarn strikes his canvas.
Burn umber, paint's great for the shadow.
Amid the flow of any river, he finds the expansive empire beneath the surface.
It's just a smear of color going by.
An abstract moment in time, captured in acrylic. Miller knows not everyone loves his style.
Like one guy walked away, he's like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. And I was like, yes, it was great. And I loved that reaction because he didn't maybe agree with it, but he still had to acknowledge it.
At the end of the day, when he sees his masterpiece,
I am ecstatic about it.
Just like that, he's a kid again, returning to the river.
Sometimes, I'll stand on these rivers and there's nowhere else I'd rather want to be.
I'm Ariana Lake, 4 News Now.
There's nothing quite like the holidays to bring out the young at heart in all of us.
And we don't just mean Christmas. Taylor Graham found a cross-generational celebration of Halloween.
Oh, I hear them. Mercy on us, we got a ton of them out there.
Time is a funny thing. One day you're trick-or-treating. The next, you're passing out candy.
Oh, she likes suckers.
And before you know it, 96 Halloweens have passed.
Oh, I like your costume.
And the holiday may feel like a thing of the past.
Come on, have another one, sweetie.
Unless you're 96-year-old Jean Norton and her friends at Brighton Court Assisted Living.
Makes us feel young. Makes us feel happy.
Every year on October 31st, they turn back the clock for 1 hour.
Just kind of puts a spark in them that they don't get very often.
And suddenly, time melts away. They're young again.
Oh boy.
As they pass out candy to trick-or-treaters who come right to them at Brighton Court.
Oh my.
This year, it's kids from the Northeast Youth Center.
Oh, well, it's hard to describe it because it's so perfect. It just makes our life and makes our day, it's a thrill. Yeah, it really is. It just takes you back. It just takes you back to the days when you did that same thing that their mothers are doing now.
Jean has been there before. She's a great grandmother. Her kids, their kids, and their kids are all grown now.
Oh, I love hugs. Yes, I do.
So days like today are timeless.
Now I don't think too far ahead, but I only hope that maybe I can be here next year to take part in all of this again.
Reporting in Spokane Valley, Taylor Graham, 4 News Now.
Middle schoolers have a lot on their plates. There's the juggling of classes, sports, and of course, homework.
Some Sacagawea middle students got an explosive hands-on lesson with the Spokane Bomb Squad. Caroline Flynn explains this one-of-a-kind lesson.
When they show up late for class, they're fired.
Miss Taylor runs her 8th grade engineering class like a business.
So they have a product always that comes out of all their ideas and all their thinking and all their creations.
Most of their projects this year focused on bettering other classrooms. That's why the newest one really threw students for a loop.
So I'm also a member of the Spokane Bomb Squad.
We're gonna do what now?
Officer Breyer's Bomb Squad is the second busiest in the country, and they need help.
Talking to your teacher at the STEM fair where we met, yeah, there's a couple limitations to the robot that we have.
They got to brainstorming, and Ms. Taylor thought her students could be the fresh set of eyes needed to fix the issues.
When you go through so much school and you're in college and you learn this and this, I think it almost sometimes puts the blinders on adults.
Here's the problem. This claw. It's used to pick up bombs, open doors, and manipulate objects. And it isn't working quite right.
You don't get much friction there to be able to actually grip and open and turn. And I mean, it's easy with a hand, but trying to do it with a robot.
For these cash-strapped preteens, a new claw was out of the question. So they decided to make a glove to go over the existing claw. 8th grader Buzz Hamilton's job is figuring out what could be added to the glove to give it a better grasp.
This is 6.51,
okay.
A small one.
One of the things that humans have to help grip the door handles is our fingerprints and the ridges that come up. So I tried to replicate that on here.
As if coming up with a solution as a class project was pressure enough, Officer Breyer upped the stakes.
If it is functional, we're going to let every other bomb squad in the country know.
The statement actually motivated them more. When we last checked back in, they were ahead of schedule to finish the prototype.
If we do good and if we get this done and perfect, then we could impact the entire country.
If we're already doing this type of stuff in 8th grade, I just want to know what we'll be able to do in high school and later when we grow up.
Caroline Flynn, KXLY4 News.
4 News Now is proud to offer you a unique perspective on the news with the help of Air 4. That's our 4 News Now drone. Coming up, one of our favorite Air 4 adventures of 2019 that may have you dreaming of summer.
And we're sliding into the new year with Lenny. You have to see this Spokane dog who became an Instagram sensation. We'll be right back with more stories from the heart. Such an incredible area, and over the last 2 years, 4 News Now has shown it to you like no one else can through the lens of our Air 4 drone. Now we use Air 4 to gather news, but every week, Air 4 takes us on an adventure showing off the beauty of the inland Northwest.
We asked drone pilot and news photographer Brian Belanger to pick his favorite from the last year. He chose this hidden treasure in the North Idaho mountains.
We're up at the Upper Priest Lake, which is, it's actually a separate lake from Priest Lake itself. It's a bit of a journey. It takes a good portion of the day. You have to travel all the way up the normal Priest Lake and then travel about 2.5 miles through the thoroughfare, which is a kind of shallow, it feels a lot like you're in a river before you actually reach the Upper Lake. It's a special experience. Upper Lake, it connects into the Upper Priest River, which is one of the largest contiguous chunks of old growth, and definitely the largest contiguous chunk of old growth on the IPNF. It's the ownership of the American people. I mean, it is their public land, and they should come out and enjoy it. We have a series of really nice campsites that are kind of strategically located around the Upper Lake. I believe there's 6 different sites up there.
Usually we'll come up on a Thursday, leave Saturday. It's never too crowded then. Weekends it can get a little crowded. We try and come up every other weekend, but at least 4 times for sure during the summer. Everybody takes care of the campgrounds and stuff. I never see any trash being left behind. It's just a great place to come and camp.
You have the ability to kind of unplug and kind of reset and take a second without all of the constant distractions of normal daily life.
We couldn't end this special about stories that touched our hearts without at least one story about an animal.
Lenny the dog became an Instagram sensation this fall with video of him repeatedly rolling down his favorite hill. Then we found out Lenny lived right here in the Lilac City. Nikki Torres had to meet the viral pooch for herself.
He has more than 25,000 Instagram followers. He's on his way to Instagram fame. He's actually home right here at Spokane's Perry District.
Mirror, mirror on the Instagram wall, who is the goodest boy of all? I think today we are going with Lenny.
Go for a slide. He loves sliding down this hill, and he's kind of caught on nationally on Instagram. So I think a lot of people like watching him slide.
The Instagram account his parents made for him has thousands of people liking and commenting on his videos. From his famous party moves sliding down the hill, to lounging with dad.
Lenny, what are you doing?
And even throwbacks to when he was just a wee pupperoo.
Lenny, come.
We knew he was kind of weird.
We knew he was special. We'll say that. He was a special dog. How about that?
It's not every day you get an exclusive interview with a special dog like Lenny.
Hey Lenny, why do you roll down hills?
So Lenny's a little microphone shy.
Lenny, are you a good boy? Oh wow. You a good boy?
Yep, he's a good boy. We know it, and so do people around the world.
Portugal, he's big in Spain, someone said. So we get a lot of foreign language comments. We have no idea what they're saying, but we assume they're happy. we assume they're enjoying watching Lenny.
You know what they say, a video of Lenny a day keeps the doctor away.
They really just enjoy him. People are always like, oh, Lenny brightens my day, or Lenny, I love watching Lenny slide. So it's great. He makes people happy, so it's cool.
Reporting in Spokane's Perry District. With Lenny the Rolling Dog, I'm Nikki Torres, 4 News Now.
Good boy! We've loved sharing these stories with you tonight, stories about the people and pets that make our community special.
We're proud to share those stories year-round here on TV and on your time at kxly.com. We hope 2019 has been a good year for you and for your family, and we're excited to see what the next decade has in store. I'm Aaron Luna.
And I'm Mia Wong. From our 4 News Now family to yours, we hope you have a wonderful new year, and we look forward to sharing your stories in 2020.